Joey got the popcorn ready. Alex got the notes in hand. Tim's got puns that fly like confetti. They're your go-to movie band. Video Game Movie Club. Laugh until the credits roll. Joey Alex, Tim will dub. Scenes that make you lose control.
Hello and welcome back to Cutscenes. I am your host this time, Joey. I am joined by my absolutely fantastic, fabulous, and weirdly sexual co-hosts, starting with Alex.
Hi.
Was that you being weirdly sexual?
Yeah.
Nice. Tim, give me a weirdly sexual opening line.
Hey.
There you go. Well, if you're not rock hard or the other one, after that, I don't know what to do for you. So this is our series where we talk about video game movies. It's Cutscenes, and this time we were originally going to watch Tetris, but after a long controversial conversation, words were had, plates were thrown, divorce papers were threatened. We're not doing that because it's not actually about the video game Tetris. It's about the contractual licensing of the game Tetris within Japan. Which, I'll say now, Tetris is a bloody great movie. That premise sounds incredibly boring.
I kind of like those sorts of premises. I find that kind of thing really interesting, but I'm a very boring man.
But I'm a very boring man is how he finishes the sentence. So, watch the Blackberry movie, Tim. You'd quite like it.
Glenn Howerton is a treasure.
Glenn Howerton as a bold, screaming man. Right, so we actually watched Dead Rising Watchtower. Now, Did either of you know that there was a Dead Rising movie?
Not before this.
No? Would you be surprised to hear that there was two Dead Rising?
What?
Alex? No? Well, would you be surprised to hear that there was actually three Dead Rising movies? One of them...
Okay, now you're taking them.
One of them not tied to the movie we watched this time. It was a Japanese film, Zombrex, Dying Sun, or something like that. And
yeah,
is that the one we watched the trailer for in Discord at one point, and it was awful?
Yeah. So if you listen to last week's Two Blokes from Blighty, I made Tim watch the trailer in the episode, and it looks bad. It looks really bad. But Tim, you said you were going to try and watch it anyway.
At some point, yeah, I need to find it.
So, boys, this film came out in 2015. It's pretty low budget, as I'm sure you can tell. So low budget, they didn't put online how much the budget was or how much it made at box office, because I imagine it was straight to DVD, so the answer would be 0. It stars Jesse Metcalfe as our protagonist. Megan Ori is in the film too. Virginia Madsen, Rob Riggle, Dennis Haysbert is in it. My favourite character that's in there is Harley Morenstein. Do you know where you would know Harley Morenstein from?
That's Epic Mealtime.
Alex, did you recognise Epic Mealtime in this film?
Do you know what? While I was watching it, I was there thinking, I recognise that guy. Why do I recognise him?
That's because you would normally see him piling 15 burgers on top of each other, whereas this time he was playing Frank Sinatra for Zombies like a weird cut sexual.
He tied a news reporter to a forklift with zombies on it and then said, "Now throw bacon on it."
Yeah, there you go. I've looked for reviews online. They're pretty sparse.
Not many.
I've watched 2 YouTube reviews, and that was all I could find. It did not go down well with those reviewers, which, surprised me a bit. But on Rotten Tomatoes, it received 0 ratings at all from actual reviewers and 33% from the audience rating, which, not favourable at all. Tim, you said you've got some letterbox reviews for us.
I mean, I normally really like letterbox reviews because they are very funny for the most part, but it's a lot of these are very much the same, basically just saying not the best zombie film I've watched, but certainly not the worst.
Yeah, it's a really funny one because Dead Rising is a franchise. Dead Rising was a launch title for the Xbox 360, and it was absolutely massive. It spawned 3 sequels, Dead Rising 2, 3, and 4. but no one's ever heard of this film. I just find that so strange. So before we get into what we thought of the film, I'm going to give you a really quick breakdown of the story. So, I mean, spoilers for Dead Rising Watchtower if you thought it existed. But yeah, spoilers for Dead Rising Watchtower. So Jesse Metcalfe, or John Tucker from John Tucker Must Die, plays Chase Carter, the most American named American you've ever met. He's a reporter chasing a big scoop with his camera woman Jordan. They cover a government-sanctioned Zombrex distribute. I'll try that again. They cover a government-sanctioned Zombrex distribution event in East Mission, Oregon, and survivors are lining up to take their injections from FEMA and military personnel. Now, it's important to say that this movie takes place is in the timeline between Dead Rising 2 and 3. So there's been a couple of zombie outbreaks in America at this point. So Zombrex is distributed and is a medicine that people have to take daily to not turn into the zombie once they are infected. Despite the promise of safety and working medicine, the Zombrex fails and people start turning into zombies. It spreads really quickly. Chase and Jordan become separated, and Chase finds two survivors, one of them called Crystal, who is very against him being a reporter and using this outbreak to make his fame and money. And the other one was a mother they came across who had just killed her daughter but was in denial about it. It was such a traumatic event. You find out that the Zombrex failing was a government cover-up, and it was intended to fail because the government is tied to the people that make Zombrex, and it's all about profit and monitoring people and yada yada yada, all that kind of very generic. The government is always watching you. Conspiracy shit.
Sure.
Jordan gets out of the city, and quarantine is announced. So Jordan is working with the person at the FEZA, Federal Emergency Zombex. Federal Emergency Zombie Agency, and is investigating the quarantine itself as well as the military's involvement with Zombrex and the quarantine of the city. While this is going on, Chase and Crystal are fighting for their survival, and the mother, who regrettably I don't have her name, Maggie, are fighting for survival inside the city until Maggie finds her other daughter and ultimately allows the daughter to turn her into a zombie and kill her. Crystal has been infected with the zombie virus but has her own stash of Zombrex, so that's how she's staying alive. But they make a point of trying to use the government-issued Zombrex to prove that it isn't working, so they record that and send it out to the wide world. There is so much going on in this movie. It jumps from point A to point B to point C back to point A 15 times, but I'm trying to give you really high level so I can get into what you thought of the movie. While all this is going on, Frank West, the protagonist from the first and third game, is that right?
Yeah, he's definitely the one in the first. I think he's either third or fourth game as well.
Is a guest on a news show that we keep cutting back to. Frank West is played by Rob Riggle, and he is causing chaos in the news studio, encouraging people to kill as many people as they can with as many improvised weapons as they can. It becomes clear that the military are behind all of this, and believe it or not, are actually trying to track people using sensors that they promise will slow down the zombie virus. Chase and Crystal get out, but Crystal is implanted with one of these chips, and Chase gets his big scoop, gets his big story, because Jordan sacrifices herself to get footage of the military capturing her, and we're left kind of wide open for a sequel when the general behind the evacuation and monitoring process says, Operation Watchtower is complete, and you see everyone's location on a big high-tech screen.
I know.
The end. And that's where the second movie comes in, which I really don't think any of us have watched.
No.
No. Okay, well, that is the story. Tim, what did you think of the film?
I was saying this to you before we started recording this, mostly because you asked. And it's obviously not the best movie by any stretch of the imagination. It somehow feels both budget and not budget at the same time.
Mhm.
But what it is to me is a decently thought out plot, like on an individual character, like overarching plot, fucking nonsense. But on an individual character basis, like Maggie's whole character arc of her like being in denial that she's killed her daughter, that's an interesting plot device. A journalist who's kind of fallen on hard times is trying to get back into a decent career. That's an interesting plot device. Crystal has a Zombrex thing. That one's not so great, but whatever. Joanne, is that her name, or just Joe the reporter?
Jordan.
Jordan, thank you. Yeah, her uncovering a conspiracy in real time, that's an interesting plot device, and I think the conspiracy itself is an interesting plot device. What's not interesting is the biker gang, like, at all. So
I didn't even mention the biker gang.
No, I was going to say, what Joey didn't mention in that whole plot synopsis, there's a whole B plot of this biker gang that are already terrorizing the town within the space of about, I don't know, 15 minutes of the outbreak happening. And all they do is just ride round and loot shit, and then just, whenever people run away from them, but then somehow get surrounded by 6 zombies, they'll go up to people and go, "Hey, do you want to get out of here?" And they'll go, "Yes." And they go, "Well, you shouldn't have run away from us then." And they drive off. That's their modus operandi, and it's really uninteresting until the leader of the gang, Logan, who looks like a budget Macklemore, gets his ear bitten off by Crystal, one of our lead protags, and then he blows himself up with a Zombrex bomb. I think. Well,
because Crystal is infected, Logan, the leader of the bikers, is infected when she bites him. So he basically tries to suicide bomb the wall of the quarantine to allow loads of zombies out. He straps a bomb to an axe and Chase throws it at him and it gets stuck in him and explodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was always his intention to blow up the wall because what he wants is for the outbreak to happen everywhere, because he's gone from being like a 9 to 5 pencil pusher type to being like king of the biker gang in Zombieland. And he wants to further that, so his intention is to spread the disease by letting them out of the quarantine. So that bomb was the intent to blow up the wall, and I guess he thought the best way to get it to the wall would be to attach it to a 6-foot-long axe and throw it.
Yeah. Don't ask me why, but whatever. The other thing that I was kind of looking for in this movie, and kind of got, but okay, I'm going to say one of the main things of Dead Rising to me is improvised weaponry. That's like a centralized thing. You can pick up anything from like a sword to a teddy bear and use it in the game as some sort of weapon. And this film did that by being like, hey, get yourself a weapon. It's important. But then there's one point where Crystal steals a sword from Logan, where God knows where he's got a katana from, by the way. But then she straps like a knuckle duster cover to it on the handle, and then a shovel on the other, making it completely unwieldy. And I was like, that was a poor decision, but I get that she's going for like a utility thing. But then someone else took a chainsaw and stuck it to like a garden hoe, and then someone else took like a set of strimmers and a harpoon together, and it was just like, it's not about just taking 2 weapons that already exist and taping them together. Well, it's about coming up with something when you don't have anything.
The chainsaw on the garden hoe is from the cover of Dead Rising 2.
Yes,
it's also an absolute belter of a weapon.
Yeah,
I know that, and I know it's a reference. But if we go back to the sword as an example, it's already a weapon. You don't need to attach a shovel to the end of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. But long story short, for my thoughts, it's not a good movie, but it's a fun enough movie if you like bad cinema, because it's bad,
Mhm.
but it's fun bad.
Okay, cool. Alex.
Yeah, it's very middle of the road. It's to mirror what that review Tim found says. It's not the worst zombie film that's ever existed. It's not necessarily the best. There were some good points. There were some fucking awful points. I personally, I think this would work better as a TV show. I'd rather see it as like a mini series where we get an episode of Crystal off doing her thing, and then an episode of Chase and Joe doing their thing, and Maddie gets an episode that's shared with the biker gang because neither of them really have that much going on for them, and then it's just like the convergence of all that. The overarching plot was just nonsense, but you're not going into a Dead Rising film for the plot. You're going into a Dead Rising film for gratuitous violence, like the video game. You're going in to watch zombies get cut in half. And it delivered on that. I think it was true enough to the games. There was plenty of references to the games in it for people who've played the games to go, I know that reference, like the big Lego head in one of the shots.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's
It
the
was-
robots from Mega Man.
It was, yeah. It was fine, and it was a fine enough film. I'm not mad I watched it. I'm not particularly happy, but
You'll never have
it wasn't
that.
it wasn't the worst thing I've watched. Rachel was watching it with me, and she proceeded to fall asleep about 20 minutes in. So there's that.
Nice. I feel like that's the biggest review you could give for a film.
Yeah.
Okay, I think both of your points are absolutely fair and valid. However, there is a few things I want to point out. So, one, the runtime of this film is
2 hours.
way too long.
This should have been a 70-minute movie.
Yes, they and you easily could have trimmed it down. Now, I really enjoyed this film. It was terrible, right? And I'm not saying for a second it was good, but when I was watching it, I was thinking, yeah, this is a Dead Rising film. It felt really faithful to the game. It felt like people that had played the game and hadn't received the budget to do a faithful adaptation, but had done enough to make the film have the game's feeling. Where the film falls down is the USP of Dead Rising is that there are hundreds of zombies at any one time.
Yep.
With no budget comes no extras. And I think at any one time you at most saw 10 zombies on the screen at once.
Well, there was that whole thing where towards the start of the movie where a guy and his wife are running out of an alleyway being like, hey, biker gang who look morally upholding, can you help us? They beat the shit out of the guy and the guy's wife runs away. She climbs on top of a car to escape maybe 4 zombies. And she's like, oh my God, I'm surrounded. But then they cut to a shot where there's like no zombies surrounding her.
Well, there was about 10 zombies surrounding the car and trying to reach her. But they kept trying to make it atmospheric by showing nice wide shots of abandoned streets. But that's exactly what they look like, is empty streets. Because every single zombie that they had was in that shot. Now, I want you guys to think back to the original cover of the Dead Rising game when it first came out on the 360. I've got it here for you, Tim. Don't worry about searching it. I'm going to copy and paste it into our chat that we have. And there is a disclaimer at the bottom next to the rated M for mature. If one of you could pull that up and read it out loud for us, I'm going to tell you the main problem I have with this film.
Let's have a look. Here we go. So Dead Rising, it's Frank West holding up a CRT TV surrounded by hundreds of zombies across multiple floors of a shopping mall.
Mm-hmm.
Really sets the tone of the chaotic nature of Dead Rising.
Okay.
Tagline, You are Frank West, a hard-edged photojournalist, hell-bent on investigating the mystery at the Williamette Mall. It's swarming with zombies. You have 72 hours, and anything and everything is a weapon.
Okay, now on the front cover, Tim, next to the rated M for mature in the white box, what does that say?
You know what he said before. Tim.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I thought you wanted the tagline. This game was not developed, approved, or licensed by the owners of the creators of George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead.
We already have a fucking Dead Rising movie blueprint, and it's Dawn of the Dead. So just do Dawn of the Dead.
But with a photojournalist.
And, like, improvised weapon. That's it. I feel like you have everything you need there, and they gutterballed it with 10
But I suppose the problem is if they did that, the reviews would just be this is Dawn of the Dead, but not as good.
Okay, but what are the reviews now? Non-existent.
Well, yeah.
So
I mean, the other problem I have with this movie, and this was because I really enjoyed my time with Dead Rising 1 as a game, and I really like Frank West's character.
mm-hmm.
So what he is, Frank West, is cocky and snarky, but he's not an asshole, right?
Okay. Are you going to tell me you thought Rob Riggle was an asshole?
Rob Riggle was a raging asshole in this movie.
I thought he was brilliant. I really liked Rob Riggle. I thought he was the best part of the thing.
He was the best part of the movie. I like Rob Riggle's performance as Frank West, but it didn't feel like Frank West. It felt like a different Frank West.
It felt like Frank West after he'd been drinking for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, the new sections, what I thought were, they were definitely more of an exposition device, being like, look, the conspiracy is happening. Look, the outbreak is happening. But it's always in like the overdone trope of like news ticker reel.
I actually really enjoyed the news section cuttings. I thought Rob Riggle was a real highlight of this film, and I don't say that lightly because I'm not a massive Rob Riggle fan. I don't think he's that good an actor, but I think he nailed Frank West. And I really enjoyed how you saw Sue, who was the news anchor. Forgive me, I can't remember the actor's name who played her. Get progressively more and more angry with Frank West and the terrible, probably career jeopardizing advice that he was giving to people live on air, whilst trying to sell his book, How to Survive a Zombie Apocalypse.
Yeah.
I thought,
like, one of his bits of life advice for the people inside the war that's about to be bombed is go and buy my book.
I loved it. I thought that was great.
Like,
there's a lot I didn't love, Tim.
Yeah.
There is a lot I didn't love. But I wanted to ask what your favourite scene in this film.
Favorite scene?
And I'm going to start with Alex.
No! Yeah.
Good to have you back.
It's a really dumb bit, but when our lovely friend Pyro, played by what's his name from Epic Mealtime that we've mentioned before, Rob, whatever his name is,
Not Rob,
Harley Morrison.
Harley Morrison.
Sure, why not?
Morrison.
That'll do. Yeah.
Harley Morrison.
The scene where he finally breaks out of the track or the forklift that he's stuck in, and the propane tank on the back explodes. And it's just the scene of the knife flying through the air and getting Pyro square in the chest, because he lets out the girliest scream at that point. Like, the entire time he's there, like, he's a bit of a psycho, macho man, big, I'm going to burn you alive type of thing. And then you just get,
That was good.
as he dies.
That was good. Tim, what about yours?
I mean, that is my favourite scene of the movie, the forklift scene.
Yeah.
I don't want to make it sound like a cop-out, but that is, like, because genuinely, the situation is actually quite creative for our protagonist to get out of.
Mm-hmm. Well, just explain what the situation was and how he got out of it.
Sure. So our protagonist, Chase America Man, was knocked out and had his hands tied into the steering wheel of a forklift truck as zombies approach it.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to try and escape with his life and, not be killed by Harley Morrison and his big pile of bacon. So he Yeah, well, he tries all sorts of things like baiting a zombie with a knife in his back to try and attack his leg, but then he kind of wedges the zombie between his leg and the forklift, and he uses what's sticking out of the zombie's back to cut the ropes. Like that's a clever bit of planning almost on a action choreography part. But the thing I found the most enjoyable about this particular scene was the building of tension throughout this scene was paramount to Laurel and Hardy comedy, where it's like, oh no, the propane tank has burst. Oh no, a zombie's approaching with his arm on fire.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, a zombie's got his leg. Oh no, he's managed to get out, but the forklift explode. It's just a bunch of oh no to move the scene forward.
But it is and bearing in mind the scene is about an hour and a half through. It is the first scene in the movie where you have a bit of a sense of, oh crap, he might not get out of that.
I think
every other scene, every other time he's been pinned or attacked or something, it's like, right, well, he's got one zombie against him, he's going to be fine, whatever. But this one, it was a bit sort of like, oh, is he? I mean, of course he is, because there was still half an hour's worth of runtime left, and they can't do that without the main protagonist. But it was a bit of a ooh.
I think the thing I wanted though from this movie more than anything, and they almost got it in the first minute of the movie, is the zombies in Dead Rising aren't the interesting thing. They're an action acceleration device. They're a bit of a catalyst. What's interesting is the bosses and the NPCs, and the people who are trying to take advantage of the zombie apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
This is like your Logan or your army, the army general. But then, in the first scene, they had this clown zombie with a giant axe, and that's like, oh, that could be something from the Dead Rising games. But then they're just like, oh no, the clown is just a zombie who happens to have an axe with him.
I think it is actually one of the bosses in one of the games.
It is. It's
clown
Dead
with
Rising
the giant
2.
axe.
And there's the cop with the cop zombie who kind of knows how to use a gun.
I didn't get that. I didn't get how he had the sentience to pull out his gun and try terribly to aim it at Chase Carter.
But my point is that even if it doesn't necessarily make sense from what we understand how we understand zombies to work in movies, it's still something different that the movie did with zombies. It's a zombie that understands how to use the tools available to it, for better or for worse. But we get that maybe in the first 5 minutes, and then it's just regular walking zombies for the rest of the movie.
Apart from the ballerina one.
Oh yeah, that was
weird.
That was a bizarre
That was
scene.
weird, yeah.
Choice. My favourite scene was there was two that I really liked. One of them was a cutaway. Tim, you've spoken about the first, the one of them. That was the clown scene. I felt there was tension. I like how it died by having the truck smash into its head and stick to the front, and then at the end of the film, Logan showing up in the truck with part of the clown's head still attached to it was good. I really like that. My other favourite bit was a throwaway shot, which made me laugh out loud. I had to pause the film to compose myself to carry on. And it was just a zombie walking through shot carrying a baby carrier on his front and tucking into it like he was drunk man on a night out eating kebab, just reaching into this baby carrier where a baby used to be and eating parts of what was left. Really made me laugh. There was also the bit, actually, I wanted to talk to you about Maggie, the mum, who I thought was not a particularly strong character. I think that they really focused on the stuff with her daughter to give her a bit more of a human side. But then when she wanted to express anger, she pulled over and tipped a zombie in a wheelchair onto the floor and then got back in the car and drove away. I just didn't really get
a weird
why.
moment. I think Maggie, from a character arc perspective, is probably the most interesting and down to earth character in this movie, with the sole exception of the first time after the first night in the city, where she's like, "Oh, I'm in denial that my daughter's dead and I've killed her," but then going straight over to, "I'm going to make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for everyone and make sure everyone has orange juice for the morning." It's like, oh, okay, you've kind of spun on a dime. But then,
What was he?
she's mumsy, and I get that's her entire thing, and she's arguably trying to do that for the remainder of the cast here to be that anchoring role for them, which could be plausible. But the way they just flipped from her being like, "I'm in denial about my daughter," to "Let's all eat sandwiches in a gun shop," it's a bit jarring.
I liked it. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I think part of the problem was you've got 3, 4, 5 men in inverted commas protagonists in this film, and you're trying to give them all full character arcs and full storylines in the space of 2 years, which is part of the reason I think it would have done better as a TV show.
Yeah.
So it's like an accelerated character arc of her going from, going through the stages of grief of her daughter's death. They've just gone from denial straight to acceptance.
I can't think of many zombie films that wouldn't have just been better as a TV show, with maybe the exception of Shaun of the Dead.
No,
Shaun of the Dead
is
needs to be a
perfect.
film.
Perfect.
No, that's just what I'm saying. It's no, I'm saying it's perfect as a movie. Every other zombie movie could just be a TV show.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, 28 days. Don't touch my 28
true.
days.
True.
Don't touch it. Right. So I've got a question for you. I've got a few questions left. My first question is: does this feel like a good video game movie adaptation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Why?
What about you, Joey?
Oh yeah, I think it is absolutely. But why?
I think it hits just all the main beats of the source material: zombie outbreak, improvised weaponry, government conspiracy, and a eccentric photojournalist.
Okay. Alex?
It's also there's that, as Tim said, but then it's also one of these films where you don't need to be familiar with the source material to get the film, because it's got all the hallmarks of a Dead Rising film. It's also got all the hallmarks of just a B-list zombie film. So there are some video game movies where you go into them, and if you don't know anything about anything of the franchise, you're not going to understand what's going on. Was it What was it?
Warcraft.
What was one of the first ones we did? Was it Silent Hill or Resident
Silent
Evil?
Hill.
Silent Hill for me, because I've not played Silent Hill. I didn't get 90% of that film, and same for you, Joey, with Warcraft.
Yeah.
But this was just, if you like Dead Rising, there's going to be a lot of things in it for you. If you like zombie films, there's going to be some stuff in it for you as well.
This
Crack on.
This is actually one of my concerns with the Elden Ring movie.
I didn't even know there was an Elden.
There is one in the works with George R.R. Martin writing.
Okay. Well, let's future cutscenes episode. So I guess
in 2043.
my question is there anything you would have liked to have seen in this movie to make it more faithful to Dead Rising?
I think less turning weapons into weapon extensions, and more just like, hey, more creative use of everyday objects. Because it felt like when they tried it with the dustbin lid, the drill, and the lawnmower blades.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like already having the lawnmower blades is a good enough start for a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if they had just a dustbin lid and maybe a Lazy Susan and an electric motor, turning that into a weapon might have been something a little more interesting.
Okay, so Tim wants more arts and crafts. Alex?
I want more zombies. I understand that I understand that it was a budget constraint. I totally get that. But one of the big things in the video games is when you go into a big open area like the Rollerdrome or like the central concourse of the shopping mall, and it is this big open space that is just teeming with zombies. There are more zombies than you could possibly count, and it gives you that sense of oh no, I've got to go through that. This was it was all very close shots. It was a lot of very sort of, even the street scenes, they were very, very small streets with very few zombies. And again, I get that it's a budget constraint, but if they'd been given more money, I'd have liked to see more zombies in big... they started the bloody film in the Rollerdrome.
Yeah.
That is a big open area where they could have had a big final stand.
But they had
against
lots
just
of
hordes and hordes.
extras in that scene, but nowhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have liked to see two things. My favourite thing about Dead Rising is the constant kill counter for zombies.
That'd be fun.
I think that would be so fun. It doesn't need to be there all the time, but every time one of them died, if you just got something in the corner like Scott Pilgrim-esque that just pinged up,
just ticked over.
I think that'd be fun. I would have also really liked to have seen a dirt bike with chainsaws tied to it. That to me is iconic for Dead Rising.
Yes.
I feel like if it's not in the second film, they've really missed a trick. Okay, so I did mean to ask you guys at the start what your what your experience of Dead Rising is previously, but I think we've established that you both played the games and you know them fairly well. I would like to steal from a podcast I used to listen to because it is now dead, The Fanatic, and both of you, they both grimaced when I said it. So,
never heard of it.
The Fanatic was a podcast that Tim used to co-host and Alex used to edit. And one of the games that you used to play on there was to remove a scene and for the others to decide how that affected the movie. So, Tim, I'm going to ask you for a scene that you want removed. And Alex, I'd like you to think about how that affects the movie from there on out.
Alex, I would like you to consider the removal of the scene in the warehouse with the biker gang where Chase goes to get Crystal from Logan.
Just remove the entire scene.
Yeah. You know where he's like revving the motorbike to get the zombies in and there's a big old fight upstairs? That whole thing gone. How's the movie change?
I mean, presumably Crystal would be dead or otherwise. Mm-hmm. She's not getting out. She put up a good fight. There's no denying that. But it was her against 3-4 of Logan's guys. She wasn't going to get out of there on her own. I think she would have been kept prisoner there. And then the next day, when she didn't get her Zombrex, she'd turn into a feral zombie and just chew them all to bits.
Nice. And right. Tim, I'd like you to consider the scene at the start where the first man turns into a zombie after the Zombrex doesn't work. We're cutting that out.
Okay, so the audience just doesn't see the Zombrex doesn't work.
You don't. The Zombrex works. It's that scene's gone.
Everyone goes about their business and goes back home to a lovely dinner.
Nice. Alex, is there anything you'd like me to consider?
The scene where Maggie, is it Maggie the mother?
Yeah.
Where she finds a dead daughter on the street. That doesn't happen. The daughter's not dead.
Well, Maggie doesn't join them because she's a loving mother and she wants to find her daughter. She'd never leave them. And
no, the daughter's with her.
Oh, the daughter's with her. Oh, well then, the daughter comes along. The zombie that's in a wheelchair never gets tipped out of the wheelchair, and he is the one that kills Chase and Crystal. So by not tipping that zombie out the wheelchair, the whole thing.
It's a real butterfly effect.
The whole thing just.
He ends up with chainsaws on his wheelchair.
Exactly.
What if Maggie didn't know he was a zombie and just that's what she did with people in wheelchairs?
Just a dick. Nice. And then my final question for you before we talk about what the next cutscenes is. We may have added some questions and added a bit of a structure to this, but there's one question I love in cutscenes. If you could replace one of the characters with Christopher Walken, who would it be?
Frank West.
I was going to say Rob Riggle.
So what are your suggestions for for people trying to survive the zombie outbreak? Make weapons, kill zombies.
Put Zombrex up your ass. I would probably have to go with. I'm going to replace Crystal with Christopher Walken.
Crystal for Walken.
Crystal for Walken.
Nice. Very nice.
What about you, Joey?
I would replace... Logan's henchman that's playing Dead Rising 2?
Yeah.
I'd replace him. He's not in it for
a
very
little cameo.
Very strange little cameo. He doesn't... I don't think he actually says anything.
No.
But
Also, why was he playing it on 3 different screens at the same time?
Don't know.
I did like when he died.
Immersion.
When he died, did you notice that the game, the character
said
died
game
and
over,
it said
yeah.
game over on all 3 of the screens?
Did you notice that there was a zombie who kept coming up in the movie wearing what's his name? Chuck Green's jacket from Dead Rising 2.
Oh, really? I did not
Yeah.
notice that. Well,
His iconic yellow and black leather jacket.
this is after.
I thought that was a character from one of the Dead Rising games.
Yeah, Dead
Yeah.
Rising 2.
It's
The protagonist from Dead Rising 2.
Chuck Green.
In
in a yellow jacket.
a yellow jacket. But it is set after Dead Rising 2, so it may well be him. That jacket's where all the budget went. Right, who has the next cutscenes? I believe it's you, Alex.
It is, Alex. I'm looking at the schedule.
Oh no, it is me. I can't read my own name. We are going to watch 2008's Max Payne.
I forgot this movie existed.
As in
So did I until I was looking.
Max Payne, as in, is this the Tom Hardy version?
Tom Hardy did a Max
Oh,
Payne?
No,
shit,
no,
I'm
no, I
thinking
don't.
of Mad Max.
Oh,
It's
okay.
Mark Wahlberg's Max Payne.
Mark Wahlberg was Max Payne.
Yeah, I think he is.
Are you joking? I'm going to look this up real quick.
Yeah, Mark Wahlberg. Yeah.
I went
What
to
the
see this in
fuck?
the cinema, so I know exactly what to expect.
Oh my god, that is him. I can't help but see him in Transformers going, I'm an inventor.
We've got we starring Mark Wahlberg, Mila Kunis, Bo Bridges, Ludacris,
Mhm.
and
Is this just
Olga.
This is just the cast
something.
of Transformers 4. Are we watching Transformers 4?
Mm. Maximum transforming in pain. There you go.
Yeah.
No jokes
Maximus
there.
Prime.
Maximus Prime. Right. Thanks for stopping by, guys. Would you recommend people who like Dead Rising watch Dead Rising Watchtower?
Yeah,
You know what? For a goof, yeah.
There you go. I would also recommend it. So if you like Dead Rising, check out Dead Rising Watchtower, because believe it or not, it is a movie. And we'll catch you next week on Game Club Podcast. Say bye, Tim.
Bye.
Thank you, Alex.
bye.
And it's bye from me. See you next time.
Joey got the popcorn ready. Alex got the notes in hand. Tim's got puns that fly like confetti. They're your go-to movie band.